CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lampp.
With me, my next guest is Jarred Mair. He is the Chief Insight Officer at MPI. Jarred, g'day, mate. Welcome to the show. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Andy. Nice to meet you.
What's the Chief Insight Officer at MPI do?
Yeah, everything and everything. So the key task for us is to search the world for emerging technologies and things that can impact our food system, synthesize that and bring it back to New Zealand and try and make sure it can benefit what we do here.
Wow, that's a fairly... So how do you do that? Obviously go to conferences and keep an eye on how do you do that?
That's sharing the word, but essentially what we do is we have certain capabilities and connections around the world that allow us to monitor technology both at a conceptual phase, pilot phase, through to basically commercial.
So are you looking at, when you're talking about this technology and you find it, are you looking for a finished product? Or are you looking for a product that we can invest in and then bring back to you, or maybe retrofit for us? What's the process?
All of it. So not only are we looking for what we can directly adapt and put into our systems, but also trying to understand what's developing offshore and how that might impact our customer base and obviously the financials in terms of what we're trying to do when we sell our products as well.
Obviously, in the last 12 to 18 months, the big buzzword has been AI, and we've heard lots of discussions about AI products. And that's kind of, I've had people say to me, if you want investment, go AI and you'll get investment, right? Is that the case? And are we over-investing?
AI is essentially absorbing probably 80% of venture capital around the world at the moment. So it is definitely a big part of the system. I think from a New Zealand perspective, there is also the application side as well. So how do we actually deliver things into our systems, our actual productivity and the tools that we actually use as well. So it's a bit of both.
All right. So when you're looking around the world or these sort of products, what's the process then to go, actually, that's something that we want to be part of?
Sure. So we obviously have a good understanding of our farming systems here in New Zealand. And in addition to that, we've actually mapped out the New Zealand farming system within our economy. So that actually guides us to the inflection points around how we want to shift and adapt what we do and how we can maximize the benefit of it. And then we work out how we connect and bring those technologies back in.
So what's your guiding principle then on a technology that you're looking for? What's your focus?
It kind of varies by sector. So what we're trying to do is identify the technologies that impact the things that we do. So for example, as a sheep and beef farmer, it might be water technology. That means that we could be more resilient through dry periods. If it's a fruit or horticultural system, it might be how do we reduce our dependency on labour, or how do we reduce inputs into those systems, or how do we make those systems more robust, those sorts of things. Productivity, is that a big driver? Big driver.
So would that be right at the top of the box ticking exercise?
It's really important for us. Also reducing environmental footprint and obviously profitability. How do we ensure that what we do actually makes a profit, makes a benefit to us?
It's interesting because I think probably we in New Zealand in the ag sector, we probably think we're world leading when it comes to technologies, and we definitely are. Look at Holter, look at some of the amazing technologies, Allflex, some of the things that they're doing around the technology. But are we a little bit naive into what the rest of the world is doing?
I wouldn't say we're naive, but what we are facing as we move forward is obviously access to some of these new technologies as they are developed. And a lot of those technologies are actually being developed for other sectors. So there's an opportunity for us to adapt those to ours, and then that in its turn gives us an opportunity to sell that to the world as well.
So they might not necessarily be an ag sector technology, but you're still
might just not be a one-to-one fit. So we might do things differently. So if a company in the US or a company in South Africa or Brazil, and so we get the opportunity to take what's there, adapt it, and then in its turn, actually you create something new.
When you say we get a technology, we take it, obviously we don't take it, we do whatever we need to do.
We utilize it.
And adapt it. Who does that? How do we bring it back in-house? MPI won't do it.
But how does that work? Farmers themselves that actually do that effort themselves.
So do you go back to them and go, hey, look, we've found this. We think or would they be out there looking, what's that process?
All of the above. So we spend quite a lot of time talking to both farmers, events like today, and also trying to talk to companies themselves to understand what their strategies are. And so we can further refine and better target the selection of technologies to help them out as well.
So you're talking to farmers and asking questions like, what can we do to help you? What can help?
All the time. So we probably talk to, myself personally, probably close to about 7,000 farmers a year.
Really? That's a year.
A year.
That's a lot a day.
So it's about 70 presentations we do each year at the moment. Different scales, all the way from conferences like today down to, the smallest of them was 10 farmers in a calving shed, and we just talked for hours and went through it all.
Yeah, well, that is very grassroots, isn't it? When you're down into a calf shed and you've got 10 farmers there telling you what they and so at that point, are you thinking, okay, I need to go and find a technology for that, or do you actually already have a bunch of technologies you think, oh, that one can go there?
It's a bit of both. So in all instances, it's trying to understand what the farmers are trying to achieve, what's going to benefit them the most, where they're going. So what are they looking for in the next couple of steps to then progress their systems, and then we can sort of share what we have, but also informs what we do in terms of what we look for as we go forward.
Okay, my notes in your session here, it says farming systems are fast approaching an inflection point. What do you mean by that? So
in the past, we've been told as we become more productive, we produce more, essentially we do more harm to the environment. And what we're saying now is actually we're about to flip that with technology, where we can actually produce more, be more environmentally beneficial, lower input costs, and in some instances even be climate or carbon negative. So we can actually flip the narrative now.
So we can do that. How do we do that then?
So there's a range of technologies now coming to market, both at pilot and commercial stage, that enable us to do that.
And are you showcasing some of those technologies here?
Yeah, so I think we probably covered 30 technologies this morning.
So give me an example of a couple then that can tick those boxes.
So as an example, we touched one on a fertilizer replacement, or an adjunct to a fertilizer systems, where it's actually a bacteria that enters the plants and draws the nitrogen from the air to actually meet the plant's needs. And at the moment, they can now get it up to about 50% of that nitrogen need. Currently being used in America on about 2 million acres of vegetable crops. And what we're saying is...
How's that applied?
So it's just sprayed on.
Just sprayed on.
And the bacteria enters the plant and just works away in a symbiotic fashion.
And so a product like that, what regulatory approval does it have to get to be used in New Zealand?
So it obviously has to go through an MPI process. Some of the first products already have. So Pivot Bio's product has gone through that, is now available in New Zealand. So we're talking about now as the next step with the Azotic product.
Yeah.
And what we're looking for there is obviously the benefits, not only less nitrogen inputs, but it can't oxidize and it can't leach. So all of a sudden you get environmental benefits as well.
Okay. And well, that's going to upset some of the anti-farming lobby, isn't it? When we start getting products like that around, what are they going to bash us over the head with then?
Well, for me, it actually starts to deflate the narrative of the replacement foods, the synthetics or highly processed new foods that they're trying to develop. Because if they were developed on the pretense of, well, farming is bad, but if farming's not bad, do we need them?
Exactly. Okay. Example number 2, while we're at it. We won't go through the whole 30. I promise you. You don't have your notes in front of you, but...
well, it depends what you want to do. So obviously today, talking to beef and lamb, we were quite conscious to sort of start talking about water creation technologies. The reason being, obviously, there is now...
Water creation technology.
So as you'll be aware, the El Nino in the US looks like it's going to be a big one.
A super one.
Yep. Yeah, the Godzilla one. So what we're looking at here is saying, how can we create actual water from the air, or how can we use some new low energy or no energy desalination technologies with no environmental footprint? You're
going to have the tinfoil hat wearers talking about cloud seeding in a minute with products like that.
Well, they're on the market and being utilised today.
Yeah.
The question is how do we get them here and how do we use them?
Well, and is that so? That sounds like the holy grail, right?
Well, so the first air water capture system will be on sale in the US later this year. 20-foot container, and it will produce 4,000 litres of water a year.
Okay.
4,000 litres of water a day.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that would then obviously go, so for that amount of water a day, it would go through like some sort of trickle irrigation scheme, I'd imagine, or something along those sort of lines, hydroponics or who knows, whatever. But
So the way we think about it is obviously it can help with our articulated trough systems and those sorts of things. But progressively, we think about how we progress our systems. To go from an arable system or an agricultural system to a horticultural system, you need 90% water security. So if we can store it somewhere, all of a sudden we can actually now start to use our other land uses in a much higher productive way.
All right. Jarred, some fascinating stuff there. Really appreciate you coming on the show and talking to us. I know you've got a very busy day. You've got to shoot back up to Wellington, I think, don't you? And you're dealing with the response for the Middle East, part of that, the MPI, and obviously a lot of issues there. So keep up the good work, and great to know what you guys are doing. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you for your time.
CountryWide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lampp.